Good afternoon. I would like to introduce those that are on the stage with me today. We have Officer Davila's two daughters, Crystal and Brittany. We'll say a few words in a minute. Her mother, Aurora, and Victor Prado and Eulalio Gomez with the Fresno County Peace Officer Association, who will also be saying a few words. The first thing I want to do is run down the incident and what we've learned so far as the investigation goes. The two correctional officers remain in the hospital recovering from their injuries they received as a result of being shot. Juanita Davila is listed in critical but stable condition, and Toamalama Scanlan is listed in critical condition and has exhibited movement of his limbs when directed by medical staff. This is all very good news so far that we have regarding Toa and Juanita. Doctors remain hopeful that Scanlan will recover, but we all know that nothing is certain. I have a timeline as far as what happened Saturday morning. Just before about 8:15 in the morning, the suspect is seen on video from the downtown area approaching the Fresno City Police Department headquarters on the Mariposa Mall. He had parked his car along N Street. He approached the lobby area of the police department, tried to open the doors. However, he couldn't. They were locked because the office was closed. A short time later, he was seen leaving the police department headquarters and walking towards the Fresno County Jail, the main jail lobby, which is located at the corner of Fresno and M Street. This particular lobby is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At about 8:30, the suspect, identified as Thong Vang, entered the lobby of the main jail. At this time, the lobby was filled. It had about 15 visitors, including 4 or 5 very young children. Vang paced back and forth for several minutes within the lobby, walking up to the correctional officer working at the desk, where he told the officer he wanted to be arrested. The officer told Vang then that he was helping someone else. Vang got close to a metal detector in the lobby that leads to a secure area. The desk officer asked for assistance when it looked like Vang was not going to follow directions. Correctional Officer Juanita Davila walked out of the records area where she is assigned and asked Vang to leave. Vang refused to listen to her and got into a struggle with Officer Davila. Additional officers were called in from the secured area of the jail to assist. During their response to the lobby, Vang pulled a handgun out of his clothing, fired a shot that broke the glass window on the records area door. He fired another bullet which struck Davila in the face. Additional radio calls were made that shots had been fired in the lobby. A responding correctional officer deployed his taser on Vang, but it was ineffective in getting him to surrender. As Correctional Officer Toa Scanlan approached, he also fired his taser at Vang. Vang simultaneously fired his gun and struck Scanlan in the head. A lieutenant correctional officer responding from the second floor of the jail confronted Vang and exchanged gunfire. From the time the first shots were fired and the last shots were fired with the lieutenant, the time lapse was about 40 seconds. Using his hands, Vang cleared the broken glass in that window, and he jumped through the glass into the hallway on the other side of the door. Responding sheriff's deputies and Fresno police officers staged outside the jail and created an entry plan. Once deputies saw that an officer was down in the lobby, they made the decision to enter and conduct a rescue operation. As they held Vang at gunpoint and ordered him to drop his weapon, Vang did so. He did so by showing the officers his weapon, holding it with his thumb and forefinger, and he dropped his weapon, at the same time saying he wanted to be arrested and go to jail. Deputies began to drag both officers, Scanlan and Davila, outside to where ambulance were already staged so that they could assist our victims. Deputies took Vang into custody, and he was transported to the hospital for minor scrapes and cuts. Some of these cuts he received while he was clearing out the broken window from the doorway. Detectives later interviewed Vang and then booked him into the Fresno County Jail on felony charges, which include attempted murder, bringing a gun into the jail, being a felon in possession of a firearm, and he is also being held on an immigration detainer. Before I take questions, I want to give everybody the opportunity to say a few words, and we'll take your questions at the very end. I do want to commend a deputy sheriff lieutenant and a deputy sergeant who made the decision, very difficult decision, to open a door and go through knowing that there was somebody armed and had fired shots and wounded our correctional officers. From the time Officer Scanlan went down and the time they got there and dragged them to safety was less than 9 minutes. I also want to thank and commend our public for their support, for your prayers, and for everything that you're doing to help support us during this very difficult time, not only for the sheriff's office, but for the family members of our officers that are critically injured. Now I would like to give Brittany and Crystal the opportunity to say a few words.
Well, first of all, we'd like to thank everybody for respecting our privacy with our mother situation during the first few days of this whole situation. We want to thank God for being with our mother and Scanlan during their surgeries and helping them pull through. We're asking for prayers throughout their whole recovery, and my mother and Officer Scanlan are heroes. And I want to thank the first responders that were there, that were able to aid our mother and Officer Scanlan to safety. And Fresno PD, other officers, other COs, friends and family, and for all the prayers. And
I'll go ahead and add to that. We also wanted to thank Miss Boyer. She's a chaplain. Ever since we got to Fresno Community, she was always there with us. She escorted us to our mother right after the whole incident. We also wanted to thank the churches who are praying for both our family and Scanlan's family. We also have been communicating with Scanlan's family, and we've been eating together, praying together, and we also did a prayer chain the other morning. So we've been uniting together, and we've basically made a whole new family. We want to thank for the food that everyone's been sending us and helping us get through this, and all the prayers. We are greatly appreciating them. Lastly, we just want to say, if you guys could just pray for the officers who were there, who witnessed the whole scene with Officer Davila and Officer Scanlan. We wanted to pray for you guys as well. We want to pray for that you guys have, you guys find peace in your mind and your hearts, and they're going to be okay because of all the prayers that the churches, the families, officers, the nurses, doctors, their prayer is powerful. And our mother is communicating with us through writing, and she's been telling us to just pray for her, and her doctor's been saying that she's going to be okay, and she's worried for Scanlan as well, but they're going to make it through. Just thank you for letting us speak, and thank you for respecting our privacy the first few days. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Eulalio Gomez. I'm the president of the Fresno County Public Safety Association. We just wanted to reiterate to the community that these officers were wounded in the line of duty, that they're performing their duties as they do, as all correctional officers do, and many law enforcement do as well. We're asking for the support of the community to help these folks. This is a long-term care for at least one of the officers, and we need your support so that we can provide for the family who is providing support for our officers, our heroes. So we have a GoFund account, and also the people can send checks to the Deputy Association, and in the memo put in injured officers. We're asking for them to stand up for these warriors, these heroes that helped our community. These officers acted not only to protect their own the officers there, but the community as well. There's members of the public in the lobby. I personally witnessed as children and women and just people there visiting who are subject to this cowardly man's actions. So once again, we ask that you support these folks so that we can help the family support our warriors in the hospital to get well. And the families too. The families have suffered, they bonded, and we're there for them as well. And thank you. I want to thank Sheriff Mims for her support. The Deputy Association has been there from the first time this incident happened. And we want to thank the members of the community and also our sheriff's family. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Officer Prado. I'm also a correctional officer. I wanted to also kind of go with Eladio Gomez and tell you we have a staging area over a community, lot number 4, which is next to the Terry's house. In the back, we have a trailer. We have tables and chairs set up for the family to congregate. That's also going to be our key drop-off point for family who wants to come by, either donate cash. We have a bottle there with cash, checks, so that way we can direct those funds where they need to go. We also have food can be dropped off there. Well, one of the things that we really want to emphasize, though, that we would like to emphasize is that we schedule the food drop-offs because we have a coordinator in order to make the food stretch so that we don't end up with a lot of perishables in order to be able to feed our extended family. And we appreciate everybody's help. We've had an overwhelming amount of support from the community, and for that I'm very grateful, very thankful. And just we got to continue our prayers in order to help these folks. So I appreciate all of your time. Thank you.
One more thing about the investigation I also want to mention is watching the video, the suspect at one point had a cell phone. He may have had more than one. However, those cell phones have not been recovered. If anybody picked up a cell phone, either inside or outside the jail lobby on that morning, Saturday morning, we need those cell phones. So we're encouraging anybody that may have picked up those telephones to get them to us so that we can check them out. Also, security in our jail for short-term and long-term. As you all know, since this incident, we now have armed officers in the lobby of that jail facility right now. This is the first time in our 160-year existence that anything like this has ever happened. We realize now we're living in a different world. So I will continue to meet with Eulalio and Victor and talk about long-term solutions to additional security measures in our jail lobbies. Are there any questions?
Mr. Vang say why he wanted to be arrested, or when you talked to him?
He did make statements. In fact, he was very cooperative when it came to the investigation. He made statements that he thought he was being followed by people who wanted to hurt him, and he wanted to be arrested so that he could go to jail and be safe.
Is he mentally ill?
We don't have any indication currently or from even parole records or his information from his parole officer that indicates he had any mental issues.
One of the charges was that he had drugs on him when he entered. Was he on drugs?
It's possible. We've got, and when he went to the hospital, we did draw blood. So if he was had drugs in his system, we will know.
Vang is listed on the jail's website under INS. Was
Yeah.
that a mistake? And if not, does that mean he can face deportation?
He came here when he was 1 year old as a refugee from Laos. So as you all remember, during that era, that status was given by the United States to people from Laos to come here under refugee status. However, that legal status ends when somebody commits a crime and is arrested. So when he was released from prison the first time, he went into the custody of INS. He was released in September of 14. He stayed in their custody until December of 14. They communicated with the country of Laos to be able to send him back and got no response. Legally, they can only hold somebody so many days before they have to release them under supervision, which he was. And Laos never responded to the request to take him back, but that's not unusual. They, according to ICE agents, they said it's not unusual to not get a response from that country. Like his parole officers, the ICE agents required him to check in with their office every 6 months, and he did that. The parole officer said that he complied in every way with the conditions of his parole, including employed. He had a job, and he did not violate any conditions of his parole for the 2 years that he was out on parole status.
Did he ever give any indication that his life was in danger before this?
No, we don't have any indication from any other law enforcement agency that he had that kind of contact. And he certainly didn't bring that up to his parole agents, who had regular contact with him. And they were surprised that he carried out what he did because he had been the model parolee.
How often did his parole agents, how often did they meet with their parole?
You know, I don't know how often. That might be to get those specifics. Might want to get a hold of parole, but I don't know if it was a definite time period or if it was sporadic. Normally, they're surprise visits with the parolees.
Did Wayne have any family, mom and dad here?
I know he had a sister here, but I don't know about his parents.
I was unclear, when he went into jail, did he have drugs on him in his possession?
You know, I'm not sure if he did or not. Okay. Okay. Did you get that? So he did not have narcotics on him.
Sheriff Mims, we got a couple, reports of, some of the correctional officers have made complaints about not feeling safe in the lobby area, and that I believe a letter was also sent to you informing you of that. Is that true?
I received an email, and that's the point of meeting with Victor and Eulalio later on about arming the correctional officers in the lobby, because it's really a mixed bag. Some do, some don't, and so now we make a decision about how we move forward. If it's the COs, if it's another job classification, we have to figure that out. This is all part of working conditions, which is why I have to meet with their association. We will talk about it and come to some kind of agreement and conclusion.
Gotcha. Do you know when that email was actually sent, or when you received it?
It's been probably more than a month ago.
What is the policy of someone being armed in the jail? Not someone, but a sheriff's staff. Is it just deputies or not correctional officers?
Some correctional officers are armed. For instance, when they initially go through our core academy, they are given an additional week of instruction under what we call Penal Code Section 832, which allows them to carry a firearm. For those who successfully pass that course, then they are subject to, and are allowed to be assigned to our transportation unit, for instance, that will transport inmates out of the jail facility into the hospital, and they can carry weapons. However, I will reiterate, not all COs want to carry weapons. So they may sign up in an area where they don't have to.
Sheriff, can you talk about the impact of social media throughout this whole
Yeah.
just developing throughout the whole?
Sure. You know, social media can can be a blessing and a curse, as we all know. The blessing is that we can really spread the word about what we're doing now and how the community can help, because that's the question I get the most from our community members is how can we help? And so we're spreading that word. The negative part of social media is, just the negative comments of people that are uneducated, uninformed about how a jail works. So, for instance, in that lobby, that's a public government office where people walk in, conduct business, and they walk out. However, you get past that lobby, and the reason why there are metal detectors is because moving forward further into the jail, it's a secure area. Not even deputy sheriffs can carry weapons up on the floors of the jail. So that's the reason why we secure those with the metal detectors.
Sheriff, I heard the allegation that correctional officer who sent you an email was reprimanded for asking for better protection, or that he violated the chain of command or something like that. Is there any truth to that?
I don't know that there was any reprimand, Gene. As far as the email was concerned, that was sent to me, they were said, go to your chain of command and make those requests. That's the proper channels to do that. And the fact is, about a month ago, we started discussions about arming the COs in the jail and how we do that. However, it truly is, because of working conditions, a meet and confer issue, because we're changing over 100 years of practice. And that takes some working out, because not every CO may want to be armed, but they may want to work the lobby, and vice versa. So those are the details that we've got to work out with the Peace Officers Association.
Do you have any idea how our jail differs or is alike compared to other jails in other large cities? Are we the only ones that don't, or do a lot of other jails don't?
Yeah, I don't know how many other jails do. I suspect it's a mixed bag. Some of them are like ours. Some of them have maybe some protective glass. One of the things that we definitely are going to move forward is securing the desk area. However, I want to point out, all of the altercations occurred away and outside that desk area. So all of the shots that were fired were outside of that. So even if it had been more secure, this still could have happened.
How many shots total were fired?
We're going to hang on to that, Pablo. I will say that the suspect was armed with a handgun, and our lieutenant also, with his shots, it was from a handgun.
Now, are you naming the lieutenant and the sergeant that you're praising?
Not just yet.
I noticed that Officer Davila's daughters brought that photo up. Do you mind telling us about what's in the picture? And
Well, I know Officer Gama is the one who brought it, and I just wanted you guys to know that she was always around these people, She was writing when he was visiting her that they would make jokes and like to laugh together, and they always had a good time together. And I just wanted you guys to know, what a good person she is, and
this, their second family.
yeah, they're like another family, and that's why we respect, officers going and visiting our mom.
Can you point out which one is your mom in the picture?
Yeah, this one's Officer Juanita Davila.
and how is your mom doing tonight?
She just requested a lot of rest, so we decided to give her some time and letting her rest, take her time.
I was wondering what your name is.
My name's Brittany Davila.
This is Crystal.
So is your mom able to communicate with you and speak a bit?
Yeah, she's communicating with us through pen and paper.
What is she saying?
She's just asking for prayer, and that prayer is very powerful, and that her doctor says she's going to be okay, to not worry about her, and, just for us to be strong, and that this all happened so fast.
happened in that area, it happened outside of it, but any other plans for maybe some bulletproof glass?
Sure. There have been in the works already the plan to fortify that area. I will tell you that in the past we had submitted that as a budget item and not been funded for it. So we already have the measurements. We've already have the work done to resubmit that, and at the very least, that's what we need to get done right away.
With a bulletproof glass?
It's bullet resistance. Yep, bullet resistant glass.
You had mentioned the cell phone. Was that something that you could clearly see him on the cell phone in the security video, and at some point he dropped it? It's kind of hard to understand that.
On the security video, he could be seen talking on a cell phone. However, when he was taken into custody, he had no cell phone. Upon questioning, he said he left it outside of the jail. So, and when we searched, it was gone. And so somebody picked it up. Somebody out there has it, and we need to get that.